Alrighty. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. It is 9 p.m., and I usually like to keep things under an hour just out of simple respect out of everybody's time. So, as usual, welcome. Good evening. Hope everyone's had a good weekend so far. Go Georgia Bulldogs. They kind of whooped up on some LSU Tigers. That was a pretty good trick play there during that little kick thing that happened. Hooray, Georgia Bulldogs! I think they were saying that we're going to be playing Ohio State next, so that's kind of exciting. I don't know how we got paired up with Ohio State. I thought Ohio State got beat the previous week, so I guess it is what it is on that. But all right, let's get things moving along, and we'll let people join in as they come in. Of course, if you have any ticker requests at all, we will be more than happy to take a look at individual names. Of course, we will start from the tippy top and work our way uh, downward from there. So we'll start with the overall indices and then just work our way down. And of course, any questions, feel free to shout and we'll address them as we go on by. So, welcome to Sunday Night Prep. If this is your first time, welcome aboard. We will be more than happy to address anything that you may have questions on. But like I said, I'm Fuzz. I am the lead equities analyst here at Stock Dads, primarily options trader here with Stock Dads. So first, we're going to take a look at the good old wonderful SPY, but just to get a few notes taken care of, the Bulls pretty much have a lot going for them. Not needless to say, especially with the notes from Papa Powell there this week. But we still have good strong momentum, crossovers on many symbols and indices. So we have a lot of things going in the favor of the bulls. We have positive momentum divergences. We also have the falling dollar, which has structurally just been damaged and absolutely wrecked itself. We have the bonds that are attempting to bottom, so that's another bullish signal there. We have plenty of rotation going on. We have a much lower VIX, and of course, we'll kind of touch base on that. We also have our end of year seasonality, of course. And then we also, of course, still have to consider our over positioning into the bulls. So, yeah, the setup is still very much so there for the bulls to really have a year end melt up. And we must just continue to refine and know our levels and really just double check our work as the days progress forward. But yeah, currently there's a lot of bullishness in the air and there's a lot in their favor. So, if you're a market bull, congrats. Overall, I think, my target is still in play here on the SPX, which is about 4180. And I'll pull that up real quick. And, I'm just kind of rambling at the moment. I haven't really taken a deep dive. But if you run a symmetry move here on the SPX or the SPY, whichever you do choose to decide to look at, just take a 3-point fib extension here, and you go from your lowest low to your high, and then back down to your lowest low. And this is where you'll get your targets here. And my overall target, my moonshot target, I guess you could say, is definitely around that 4180. So we definitely still have plenty of wiggle room to the upside there. And let's see, I need to move some of my notes around just so I can see everybody. So let me get that out of the way here. All right, so that's cool. All right, so overall SPX target 4180. If we take a look at Japan, we definitely want to keep an eye on some of these foreign markets, and most importantly, Japan and Germany. Japan, completely neutral here. This is pretty bullish here for our markets, at least. It's not really bullish. It's not bearish either. You can see it's just a bit sideways here, and yeah, just neutral. Nothing to complain about. The best chance here is mainly really with China. China's has a really good shot at playing out this bottom here down at the 20, and I think as long as the FXI maintains above this 25 level, I think you're pretty much good to go. Let's see, I have that line marked right about here. Let me point that out to you, of course. if I can find my arrow buttons, there you go. Pretty much just kind of trying to stay above this level. And this is the FXI. This is the large cap China tech names. Looks pretty good here as long as it maintains above 25. And then, of course, if we take a look at Germany, the DAX is just scorching hot. Still, I mean, we are what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 9 weeks in a row. Yeah, 9 weeks in a row, just straight uppity up. And yeah, it just remains really hot, and the Bulls continue to impress week in and week out. So good job there. Yeah, and a lot of the world markets out there, they're above their weekly 50 SMA. We're above previous swing highs. We have MACD crossovers all over the place, and we have buy signals showing up on a lot of charts, even some of your longer term charts, especially, take a look at your monthly charts and kind of write down, your signals that you use to trade off of. And, we can kind of look at those, let's take a look here at our monthly chart here. We can go take a peek at, let's pick a random one. Let's take a look at the financials. Financial names out here. Yep, you had a nice little hold here at the monthly 50 here. This is a longer term chart, so it takes a long time for things to kind of shape up. But you can see here that we got a nice little buy signal down here on the monthly chart. So this is pretty impressive. We haven't had that since, way back when, February of 2021. So it's been a while. We did get a sell signal way back here, but, that's pretty much been neutralized for the most part. So good job overall. So watching the XLF, I also like the looks of the XLB. You got a nice little buy signal there on the XLB as it kind of comes up. Like I said, this is a monthly chart, so this is very, very extended out, really zoomed out as far as things go. XLP, I like the idea of looking at some of these bottom feeder names, and these are names that have just absolutely been destroyed over the past few months during this downturn. And I would look for squeezes. That's what I mainly focus on is squeeze plays and checking out some of these MACD crossovers on our weekly time frames. I'm going to go ahead and switch that over before I forget. But as you can see here on the XLB, we're getting there. It's a little bit. I have adjusted my settings on MACD. I do not use the standard settings there on the MACD. Definitely get that crossover on the XLF. Let's see what's another one. The XLI. Yep, you got the MACD crossover there on the weekly on the XLI. Those are your industrial names. But yeah, I like the look of these beat up names. If you want to take a look at some of those, the only one that I'm really kind of iffy about is the transports here, the IYT. It's kind of lagging the Dow. So that's one of those major sectors that isn't really confirming the news here. Luca asking, what's the thought on the weed names with the bill just passed? Weed names, sure, take a peek. Marijuana is just that. It's play the news event. Anything can really happen. This is the Mary Jane ETF marijuana stock here. Yeah, you do have this bottom feeder name look to it. You got a good MACD crossover here. This is the weekly chart. So, and you do have a shift in the histogram on the squeeze. So you can see that the selling pressure is finally trying to decline there and switch back over. So if I'm going to switch this back over to a daily chart, just take a peek. You're right here at the daily 200. Coming up to it, this is going to be a pretty big zone here. That's 637. Once you break 637, sure, 661, 670, and then of course you have your daily 200 there, right about that 7 mark, 685. If you really want to zoom into it, there you go. Let's see here. So that's doing pretty good there. On the MJ, of course, you can probably take a peek at some of these other guys. Not CCJ. Let's see. Why am I blanking out on some of these pot names? GRWG. Thank you. Let's take a peek. Yeah, GRWG. This one looks a lot better. This one's actually leading the MJ. You are trading well above the daily 200, so that's good there. You have a nice, good bullish histogram here on the daily. That's still pretty good there. MACD looks fantastic down here. Let's take a peek at the weekly chart here just to take a look here. Here's your weekly chart. Yeah, looking pretty good. You got a shift in the histogram. You went from red to yellow. Now you're shooting light blue. Let's see, MACD down here crossed way back when. So, things are definitely pretty aligned. Sorry about that. My dogs are barking. Let's see. Let's see. We probably used last week's high for continuation at least. Above 8, pushing above to 11 ish. And then you got the weekly 200 all the way up at 15. So I'm not saying it's out of the woodworks just yet, but this daily chart is much improved. If I were you, sure, raise your stops if you are already in. Good evening, Jambo548. How's it going, buddy? If you are already in GRWG, I would just raise your stops and just play it that way. No need to, just if you're looking for entry, I'd personally wait for a pullback if you can get one. Of course, we know that these marijuana names they can take off and just kind of run with it, but this is a really fantastic, nice little S curve you got going on here on the daily. So if it were me, if you get a pullback to maybe this daily 21 or even the daily 200 at 550, that's an epic buy here. You're right at a little bit of a weekly resistance at that $8 level on the MJ. But overall, looks pretty good there. I would have stops probably below that 550 mark. You just got a little bit of a skewed risk to reward here, but other than that, it looks pretty good. Or even if you get a retest of this 686, I think there's a few ways you can definitely play with this. Everything looks pretty bullish. I'm not gonna lie, I like it a lot. I might have to add this one to my notes as well because I am starting a small account situation uh, on my end. This week did a lottery challenge a few weeks ago, probably about a month. Whenever the lottery was like way over about $1 billion, we all kind of pitched in, and now we're using that winnings to do a small account challenge for my end. So we're going to be doing that. That could be a good one to play for sure. We'll just kind of pay attention to it. But I like the looks of this one. This one looks really good on GRWG. Uh, Henry asking, you bet, Luca. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Henry asks SPY targets for this week. Yeah, we can talk about that. I haven't quite touched base on it just yet, but we can if I can type in the symbol. Yeah, Chris, I definitely like the looks of China for sure. All right, so here with the SPY, I don't know if you can see it too well, but here on the SPY, let's see, I can zoom in, of course. You have your yearly trend line. You still have those symmetry levels that are marked on the SPX. Those transfer over to the SPY on TOS, so that does come in handy. But yeah, symmetry levels put us at that 417.67 level. So that's going to be my second target. I do want to be mindful of this 410, 412 zone. 410, 412 is going to be maybe a little bit of a sticky area. That does give us a test of the trend line and the prior swing high there. And then, of course, 417 to 420 is going to be another big level in itself. So to the upside, I got 417. And as long as the SPX holds together 4,000, I think the Bulls have a lot of things in their favor. So hold 4,000, you're pretty much good to go on the SPY. So let's see here. Let me go back here. So yeah, we talked about the transports. Let's see if we take a peek here at the US dollar. The dollar is definitely just absolutely broken. We have had this nice little push higher on the dollar, and we're finally getting that structural breakdown. You can see here on the daily, uh, right here, that we lost the daily 200, and down we've just kind of gone from there. So all in all, that's another point win for the Bulls there for sure. Let's see, it's got a breaking structure, breaking momentum. You can see that we're just absolutely getting destroyed here on the MACD. Generally speaking, this is bullish, and the damage is done here on the dollar. Even if we do get a bounce at support here at about that 103 level, we might see a bounce in there, but I'm not. It doesn't look too bad here. That is one of the prior levels that I have marked right there at the weekly 52. So 103 makes a lot of sense. All right, so let's see. There's the dollar. So Bulls have that in their favor. Same things still kind of apply here that we've always been talking about. There's a lot of action still in zero DTE options. We've been noticing that since they've really introduced SPY day to day options expirations, it's just been kind of making things a little bit wonky, in my opinion. Let's see. We do have good weekly momentum crossovers, especially within the Dow, the IWM, the XLF, XLB. These are all things that we've talked about in the past. If you need to take a look at previous recordings or previous notes that I've put out, but same thing still applies. The only thing is, I just don't become complacent. We have the next FOMC meeting next week, not this week, but the following week. That'll be our final FOMC meeting for the year, and of course, the anticipation there is that the rate hike is going to be 50 basis points. So hopefully, we don't get any surprises there. Of course, Powell, had a nice little tone there this past week, and off we went to the races just based off of that. So everything's pretty much in alignment here, and that's from the indexes to the sectors, and we can try to get our year end melt up. And for the next 2 weeks on the calendar, it's kind of sprayed here and there with central bank rate decisions, and that's just not for the US, that's also for like other countries, Australia, Great Britain, etc. And I also, just want to pay attention to, how things continue to handle some of these data points that are going to be coming up. And let's see, Chris is asking about the VIX. Yeah, this one's the VIX is definitely pretty interesting because there's the saying that when the VIX is high, it's time to buy. When the VIX is low, look out below. Sure, we did get this break below 20 level on the VIX. Usually the 20 is a pretty big deal on the VIX, but we've gotten this breakdown below. This is still much in favor of the bulls. We have good momentum. You can see here on the histogram here that we've even shifted from yellow back to red, and down we go here on the VIX. We could see a little bit of a bounce here and there. We did see a little bit of bounce right at 20 before we kind of melted further down, but 18 is my next level there on the VIX. I'm not saying that things can just bounce up and skyrocket and then everything just goes to crap again. But the structure here and the momentum is just all in favor for the bulls. You got a series of lower lows and lower highs. So I'm not too concerned here unless something just crazy just happens. But I think it goes at least test 18. Of course, it can continue to head lower. And it's just set the stage up for, that year-end melt up that we've just been talking about. So structurally speaking and momentum speaking, I think it heads lower. There's nothing that tells me otherwise or to think it does, but there's always that unknown event that could happen, of course, before something changes on that. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, it really does. Let's see. All right, so on to the overall. Let's see. We already talked about the SPY here, so we can just go back here just to touch base here, and we'll just go through it. SPY. Here's your year-to-date trend line that we have drawn out. Of course, that remains in effect. We're right there at that trend line. If we can break above this key zone here, this 412, then yeah, 417.67 is most definitely my overall target there. We do have that is our weekly symmetry level. We do have that massive resistance at 410 to 412 zone, like we talked about, but it looks correct to push through. Everything looks good momentum wise. We still got buy signals. We have buyers still coming in. Yeah, I don't see any reason that we shouldn't continue to melt up. If we take a look at the Nasdaq, of course, this is still the worst index out there, but we still have some bullish momentum divergences. If we take a look here on the weekly chart, let me pull that up. So this is, well, yeah, let's do that. Let me add in a momentum study here. You'll kind of see that I have a bunch of stuff up. Maybe I already have it up. No, I don't. So let's go ahead and add that. Apply. Okay. All right. So what are we talking about when we talk about momentum divergence? Okay. So here we have a lower low. and another lower low. And we can just draw that out right here. Here's a low, there's a lower low going down. Price is moving down. But on the momentum indicator, here's our same spot here. We have a low on the momentum and we have a higher low. That's kind of odd. So yeah, that is our positive momentum divergence. Technically, this is in play. You have that on all your time frames, of course. And I'm looking for a trend break here on the Qs. I'm sorry. Really need to get above this 293, 295. And I'm looking to push this daily 200 here on the Qs. So that gives us an upside target of at least 305. All right. So there's the Qs there. Let's go down to the diamonds. The diamonds, by far the best looking sector out there. We came up to this prior resistance level, our prior swing high. We bumped our head a little bit, came back in, retested, and now we're looking to really push this next area of about 354. So everything looks pretty good here. As long as 343 holds together, I think there is no reason for it to push higher, for no doubt about that. Let's see, we got the IWM, the small caps. Small caps, in my opinion, is the second best uh, index out there. The small caps, you're right there at this resistance level here at about 189. You can see here, there's our first test, second and third test here, and here's our fourth test. And we're really just trying to push above that. I think we do. And if we do, 195 is next. Once we get above 195, 200, no problem. Yeah, so IWM looks great. Let's see, massive resistance is going to be there at 200. That'll be a psychological situation there. We already talked about the dollar. I think as long as the dollar holds below this 108 level, it's a win for the market bulls, and we can mark that about right here. That's right about where the weekly 21 is, and you got a nice little resistance level there. I'm going to zoom in on that. There you go. And there's your dollar resistance here for the most part, with that confluence of the uh, weekly 21 as well. So as long as we trade below 108, have another point for the market bulls there. Some support there at 103. We'll see if we can get a bounce there, but I think for the most part, this is pretty much a good done deal for the dollar here. So we'll just kind of pay attention to that and monitor that situation as well. Let's go on over to the TNX. This is the 10-year Treasury note. And as you can see here, let's see, you can see that we have right back here at the prior swing high, or the all-time high breakout there, not all-time high breakout, but the prior break there at about 34.83. We're getting a nice little retest of it now. And so yeah, that's our support level at 35. Is also right here at the weekly 21. So that is another confluence area there. So that's pretty important. You do have, you already have your MACD crossover down here. And, as long as it stays below the daily 21 EMA, which is your green line right here, as long as you stay below that, I think the bulls continue to push higher. So yeah, there's another win there for the bulls. Let the 10-year not collapse, but at least break down this support here, and maybe we'll get a retest of the daily 200 down here at about 30.75 on the TNX. Next one up is, of course, we'll take a peek here at crude oil. No major changes for me on crude oil. We do have, let's see, let me let that load up. There we go. We do have a MACD sell here on my settings. I'm using a 21/50/34 exponential on my MACD. Let's see here. Yeah, we have the daily MACD sell signal there, as well as pretty much several other indicators that I used. You're getting some signals there. You do have a multi-day squeeze. Just want to point that out. And if this does shoot to the downside, this could definitely be a very good payout for market bears. So I'm looking for that break below 75. Oops, wrong box there. Let's zoom out just a little bit. 75 is the key spot to break down. We did get a little bit of a blip down, but market bulls were able to hold the line, and we've kind of pushed up there and kind of stalled here at the daily 21. So just kind of watching that area there. So below 75, I think it's a good payout. So kind of watch your crude oil names if you have any favorites. See where those go. On to natural gas. Not the kind that you get after you eat dinner, but this is just, liquid natural gas and stuff like that. Still very sloppy. It's under major resistance levels here at about that $7, $8 mark. Just kind of in la la land. Even the hourly is just kind of sloppy. I'm not too, happy to play with it. I'm going to keep my business out of that one. Let's see if we take a look at copper. Now, copper, this one is a pretty important name. Massive resistance here at the $4 level. That's your daily 200. It's got a good chance. You can see here that we do have a shift in the histogram on the daily time frame. We have good momentum back above zero. MACD looks correct. If we go over here to the weekly chart, we'll pull that up real quick. We do have this weekly squeeze, and I think that's pretty important to take notice of. We do have this weekly squeeze that's looking to fire off here. We got the histogram shifting, let's see, from yellow to blue. So that looks good. Momentum is above zero. The only thing that we need here is the MACD to shift, cross back over for the bull side. But other than that, yeah, this is really good for the bull case as well. Major resistance here at 4. Once you get above 4, I think it's off to the races. We'll just have to pay attention to see how the daily time frame shapes up. Of course, you're at this interesting rounded pattern that you got going on here. If you want, you can maybe make the case for a cup and handle there if you want to, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Just going to see what that weekly squeeze shapes up, but of course that's going to be reflected in copper. So penny pincher, the copper futures ticker is HG, but the copper name that I like to play is Freeport McMoran, ticker symbol FCX. Now FCX here, you got a good break above this 38.96, 39 level. Let's see, you do have, you do already have the MACD that's bullish. Momentum's pretty good. I would like it to kind of maybe turn sideways, maybe get me in a nice little squeeze here, but I think we are entering a little bit of a pre-squeeze. I would like the histogram to turn light blue again, but this is still pretty bullish nonetheless. And let's take a peek at the weekly chart. You can see it a little bit better here on the weekly chart. You had a little bit of a compression there on the weekly, and now just firing long already. Let's see if you want to take the weekly target. Let's see, let's line that up real quick. 43.62 is your upper end target on Freeport McMoran. And then once you break above that, you're pushing into the 50s. So I think that's looking really good. Of course, this means, if copper does continue to push higher, yeah, that's great for market bulls as well. And generally speaking, the overall economy. So I think this is definitely one worth paying attention to. Of course, when we came up here to that $4 mark and the daily 200, we pretty much rejected off of it to begin with. So this is definitely a pretty big deal right here yet again. So we definitely want to kind of pay attention to that. Let's see. Let's move on to Bitcoin. Honestly, I don't really care to play it. There's still the tether situation that I'm waiting for it to blow up and let this thing puke even further, and then we can play it. But for me, yeah, sure. I mean, you can probably pay attention to coin and see how that continues to shape up and see where all this mess and nonsense goes. But overall, Bitcoin, just no changes overall for me. If anything, I'll probably look for puts on coin and take it back down to 40, if not lower, if I get the chance. Let's see. All right, so that kind of ends the main sectors there for me. So on to some of my favorite names here. Going to be starting off with LLY. Lily, you have a nice all-time high break. You do have a nice daily squeeze with a positive histogram. Oops, did not mean to zoom in that much. Let's see, that's what I wanted. So there you go. You got your nice squeeze. You got your positive histogram. Momentum looks good. Overall, I think you're going to push into new highs with this one. If you want, you can use your 3-point fib extension level to mark some targets here. Looking really towards about 400 overall target. That could be a good magnet to play with. Probably good for shares options. I'll have to take a look to see what those are looking like, but I like LLY. Moving on to McDonald's, MCD. Yes, I did say McDonald's, not McDonald's, but yeah, let's clear this drawing set because it doesn't really mean much to me. Now here we have a daily squeeze. Momentum is positive. We already got the bullish MACD signal. The only thing that I am concerned with on McDonald's is, we really want to pay attention to this. Potential shift here. I definitely like it above this 275, 277 level. Once you get above that, I think you most definitely retest the 280s and the highs there. My only concern is really this histogram. You see how it's turning red, and that just means that buying pressure is just kind of running out of steam there. So unless this changes and kind of shifts a little bit, maybe goes yellow and then blue, sure, I'm all for it. But for me, it's probably just a little too early to kind of get in. It is sure it's right here at the daily 21, right at the daily 8. But I'm not convinced just yet on McDonald's, but it is definitely most uh, in my radar. Another one that we kind of looked at last week, and I believe it was Friday that we were looking at this one. Yeah, is EA. EA, you got a nice little squeeze here yet again. We have positive stack DMAs, so that's another win for us right there. And you also got multiple time frame squeezes: 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, weekly, and even the monthly squeeze there. Everything's lining up. You got momentum. MACD looks correct. You got a buy signal here. Looking at an overall target there, let's zoom out here, of course. Uh, generally speaking, my rules tell me to use +2 ATR. That would be probably right there at that 136. I would have to turn it on just to see. But your next swing highs is right there at 135, 85 on that level. And let's see. So that one's looking pretty good. EA is definitely on my radar for the upside. I like T-Mobile as well. T-Mobile is on my radar as well. You got a nice little squeeze. The histogram is shifting positive. Momentum looks good. MACD looks good. Yeah, everything looks correct here. Daily bullish stack DMAs. Looking for an upside target to re-hit that 154 mark and higher, maybe even 155, 155, 157, 50 there on T-Mobile. Let's take a peek at Disney. Disney's a little bit interesting. Sure, we don't have the squeeze. The one thing I am looking at here on Disney is this newly printed buy signal on the MACD with positive momentum. Sure, the momentum could probably be a little bit better. We do have a slight trend line break here if you want to draw it out. Looking for an upside potential target of 103.25. That is your weekly 21 EMA. And then, of course, you have your swing high up here at about 108.84. So if this thing wants to push on higher, it most certainly can. Let's take a peek at this weekly time frame, of course. Weekly, of course, has plenty of work to do. That's probably the only really downside there. Communication sector has been pretty tricky to hit, but if I'm going for a scalp trade, yeah, I might be looking at Disney. Let's see, we got Schwab. Schwab, you're at an interesting level right at this 82.75. Remember, I talked about the financial sector. This one's right up the alley. It meets the the terms here. You got a nice little daily squeeze that has already started to fire along. We just need to clear this 82.75 mark. Once you get above that 82.75, yeah, you're probably looking at about 85 and a little bit higher. And of course, if you want to play this, just kind of raise your stops. If you get in and you start to, reap the benefits, don't let it turn red. Just raise your stops and keep it going. Let's see here. I also like RTX and LMT, Lockheed Martin. These are your defensive names. You make firearms and deal with a lot of the government. BA as well is another one. VRTX, you're at highs. This thing's just been on a tear. I don't know what they do. I personally haven't really traded them, so just fair warning on that. But you're right back at all-time highs on Vertex. STLD, Steel Dynamics, nice breakout here into new highs at 106. That's going to be on my radar. We all know that in phase. We talked about FCX earlier. In phase, your solar names, check those out. In phase, TAN, and that is your solar ETF. You got Run. Let's see, you got First Solar, all these guys. So it's really great. Let's see here. Let me see. Who else do I have on my list? CI. Sure, take a look at CI. This is another insurance name there. Needs to break 331 for the potential upside. You got Pepsi. Pepsi and Coke. Coke, of course, has been on an absolute rip. And I can't believe they still haven't given that guy his jet. Jerks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's that series on Netflix asking Pepsi, where's my jet? Because he rightfully earned that jet and they haven't given it to him. Speaking of Netflix, yeah, this has been on an absolutely rip roar as of late. Pushing into almost at gap fill. 333 is your gap fill on Netflix. It's a little bit hard to chase here. You are a little extended on the hourly 50. I would like it to maybe retest this 312 mark and kind of hold steady and then go in for another push. But this is a nice move here. You got a nice, let's see here. You got a nice higher high, higher high, higher high, higher low, higher low. You're just kind of stair stepping it up ever so slightly. So I definitely like the looks of Netflix. Let's see if we want to take a look at some downward names. Amazon is on my list to maybe take lower. We do have a little bit of a quiet period here on the histogram. Would like it to maybe set up a little bit of a squeeze. Momentum is still negative down here. We also have negative momentum on the hourly. We have negative stacked EMAs. Yeah, just it's looking a little bit messy there for Amazon. That doesn't mean it can't push higher, of course. If it does break above the daily 21, specifically 97 and some change, 98, yeah, I'd be willing to take this back up to 105, 104.50. That's not a bad spot there. But of course, we'll have to take that day in and day out. We did take a swing position here in MOS already. There's a lot of things to complain about if you want to go short here. This is one of my favorites. You have nice little daily squeeze, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, weekly squeezes all in the hand. You have the sell signal on the MACD. You have negative momentum. You have the negative stacked EMAs. All the signals are there. Even here on the hourly, you have negative momentum. So the structure, everything is correct to take this lower. So I'm looking at a -2 ATR push, especially if we get this daily squeeze to fire short. And first target, of course, is going to be down here at 47, and then secondary target at around 46. And of course, if these weekly squeezes want to fire as well, we can also take it, even further down and yeah, just kind of raise our stops as we go along. So we got plenty of time with that on the options contract. Of course, our stops are going to be up here at 52, and that'll be on a daily close above that mark. That'll get me out of that position as far as that one goes. Let's see. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Let's take a look at CVX. Oxy is also on my radar. The only issue here, besides you're kind of going against Warren Buffett there, but which, that could be always exciting as well. Here on Oxy, as well as on some of these energy names like CVX, we already know that the structure is a little bit wonky, meaning our EMAs aren't positively stacked on top of each other. So here you can see that the 8 is crossing below the 21. The 21 is probably flipping, flopping between the 34, and the 34 hasn't quite crossed over below the 55, and the 55 hasn't quite crossed over the 89. So that's what that means. We got, a yellow light, a caution flag there on the EMAs, but we do have a little bit of a squeeze firing short here on the daily. So this is telling me, we could break below the 6750. If we happen to break below 6750, I'm looking to take it down to really right here at this support level at about 63. That lines up perfectly with our daily 200. You have a MACD sell down here. Momentum looks a little wacky. Sure, we can try to do that if we want to, but we'll need to pay attention to how the overall energy sector pans out, and that kind of speaks the truth here as well with CVX. CVX, you got a nice little daily squeeze that's looking to fire short. The MACD hasn't quite given us a crossover just yet. Momentum has crossed over below zero. The only thing, we do have positive stack DMAs, and overall, this is a generally speaking a bullish structure. I mean, we just really need to break out of this box. If I want to highlight that, so there you go. Really need to shift out of this, and then once you shift out of that, sure, we can probably take it lower, but I would just be patient. You could, of course, try it and just have your stops up here at about 190, 189.70. I wouldn't give it too much wiggle room up there because stops can get blown way up if you do try it. So I would just, be cautious there, especially if energy does get a little heated there. But we've been talking about how oil looks really bad under 75, and if you do take oil down, yeah, these things could definitely pan out. Our good boy Microsoft here above 256.12. We're looking at about 260.40. That's just above last week's high. And then we're just attacking the next pivot there. Got a nice buy signal here. Momentum looks good. Hourly structure looks pretty clean as well. Nothing too much to complain about other than, yeah, it's tech, it's lagging. You're below the daily 200, you're below the equator. Break below, or excuse me, if you can get a test here, and some of these tech names could definitely get a nice little push up in retrospect, and with everything getting hit. Of course, your China names, Futu, absolutely beast mode. You got Baba in there on my screens as well. Yeah, a lot of China names hitting. Neo had a pretty impressive week last week as well, breaking above that pivot there at 1241. Now you're just kind of touching base here at 1344. We'll see what happens there. You got a nice little daily squeeze that's fired long. MACD is good. Momentum, much improvement there. Let's see here. Tesla, I know I haven't really said much about Tesla. This one, yeah, just kind of still. I mean, if we get a break above 200, 200 is definitely going to be a sticky spot. But if we get above 200, sure, let's push it up to 215 and try to retest that daily 50. But for the most part, it's kind of busted. Let's take a look at some of our other Nvidia. Let's see, Nvidia, you're right here at the daily 200. Momentum trying to hold up. It's nothing too crazy. Yeah, I think if we can play it, we'd probably play the break of this swing higher at 172.65 to take it up to 180 and get see what we get a feel of at the daily 200. From there, I think that'd probably be a good one. BSX, I have a love hate relationship with this name. You're right at the all time highs here on BSX. 4750, well, not all time highs, but 52-week highs at least. 4750 is going to be a sticky spot here. The IBB, just in general, if you have any biotech names that you want to pay attention to, this is a good clean break here on the IBB if you really want to talk about it. 135.08. Let's see, get that look here. resistance, 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 resistance. Now you're breaking above. This is a big break through here on the IBB. You just need to keep it up and push towards this 145. That's a good 7 point move there. That's pretty big for the IBB. You do already have that MACD crossover down here. You got good signals. The momentum looks good. Let's see. Let's clear that out and go over to the weekly chart. Yeah, you can see it even better here on the weekly chart. Look at this. Resistance, 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 resistance. Boom. Let's go. Let's push it. A little bit of a 2 weekly squeeze here. Now you're blasting off. Buy signal here. Weekly MACD, good. Momentum, good. Yeah. There's absolutely zero wrong with the IBB. Let's see here. All right, getting some ticker requests here, so we'll take a peek at those. Those are pretty much all the names I got. I kind of ran through them kind of quickly, so if you have any questions, feel free to shout. Let's see, LVS and Win. Yeah, Win had a pretty big day. LVS even. All right, so let's see. Nice weekly squeeze here on Win. You're right here at the weekly 200, so let's mark that. Weekly 200. All right, so let's see here. Get our price level tool. Ooh, look at that. All right, so you're right here at weekly resistance, just shy. We do have a squeeze here. You have the MACD crossover back here. Momentum is positive. So that's good. That's the weekly chart. So let's go take a peek at the daily real quick. Yep, there's your resistance levels yet again. Right there at 48.27. MACD still looks good. Yeah, okay. So if you want to break above this mark here, zoom out. I might have to go back to the weekly here just to get a price target. Dun, 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 dun. That's going to be a big spot. 60. It looks good. My only main concern here is that you're hitting resistance while you're extended with LVS. Sure, you can blast through it. Of course, the histogram, you do have a little bit of a shift here to the darker blue, albeit that's kind of fine. If you do have any pullback, I would like to see 45 hold. If not 45, at least 43. If it breaks below this on a daily close below 43, I'm not as interested. But what I would like to see is a pullback at least to this 45 mark. Maybe gather up some momentum, some strength, get some more buyers in, and then push. I don't like how you're hitting a pretty strong resistance level extended away from support. So I would just kind of play that one off. But it can go either way. I'd like a little bit of a better risk to reward on that. Sure, you can play the breakout. Nothing wrong with that. You do have the positive stack DMAs. You got the weekly squeeze. Now, if the weekly squeeze does decide to fire off and this thing just pops off, yeah, you're in it for the ride, and you got a good attempt here. But for me, I'll just raise my stops and play it that way, and just don't become complacent. Like we've been saying. Win, same thing here. Let's see, daily. Daily looks good. Still a little extended here. I would like to get a retest, probably about that 80 mark of the prior peak here. Yeah, that looks about right. Let's see here. You don't have any squeezes, which is fine. MACD looks good. Momentum looks good. Everything looks good for a continuation. I would just like to, if I was looking for an entry, look at this. This is kind of fun. So this is a weekly chart here. Let me just zoom into this part right here. Support, 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 support. Oops, you broke it. Resistance, resistance. Now we're back over. So this would put my overall target on the upside. 96.45. Wow, that'd be crazy. That'd be pretty wild. Let's see. Same thing here as far as LVS and Win. They look great. Just need to. If I'm looking to get in, I'd want a little bit of a pullback, but that's probably me just being picky. But of course, you can play that breakout. I'm not saying you can't. Yeah, I think if I was going to buy, I'd probably buy it down here at 80.50. LVS, I would play that possible breakout, but tight stop here in case it went against me. Or if we get a pullback, I'm all for that on LVS. But they both look good in their own right. Yes, win. Let's see. Here's another level, 83. Yeah, it looks clean, man. Not gonna fight you on that one. Everything looks good. Let's see. CSX and good morning, GM. General Motors. All right. CSX transports. Yeah, transport's just one of those things, just lagging a little bit. It's not really confirming, which is a little bit sus, but you got a resistance level here at 32.92. You can see it here. You bumped your head, bumped your head again. Break above 32.92 or 33. You are looking at 34. So that gives you a 2-point move. And then, of course, once you get above that one, you can go to 34.71. And then you're kind of testing some of these dark pools, which these are old. So we can just kind of take those out. Let's go to a weekly time frame. Let's see. Yeah, same thing here. You do have that momentum divergence on CSX. So here's a low, here's a lower low, here's your low off of that same period. Here's your higher low. So that is a negative momentum divergence on that, which is technically bullish. You just need a little bit more signals here. I would like to see this MACD cross over, and I would like to see this weekly momentum profile switch above the 50 mark, and this histogram. It's getting better. Maybe set up, maybe get a red dot here and then push higher. That's probably being a little picky, but yeah, looks decent, but it's not quite there yet for me as far as CSX goes. GM, General Motors. Oh, but if you're already in, I guess I didn't go over that scenario. If you're already in CSX, you clearly have a tradable bottom way down here, and you are channeling. I'm not going to take that away from you. You are channeling easily up to here. I would have my stop down here at about 30.50. That is your support level, and that is also right below the weekly 21. Makes sense. Got a good confluence there. That's where I would have my stop, or just raise your stops as you go. And of course, if you do get a retest of here, you know what I would do? Sell some premium. If you get down here, you can probably think about that as long as it holds. If you break below, of course, you get out. But if you can hold that and then push back up, yeah, sell some premium. General Motors. All right, General Motors. Oh, I kind of already have my level set here. Nice daily squeeze here. Daily squeeze setting up nicely. Need to break above 41.37. You do have a little bit of a 4-day and a weekly pre-squeeze there. Once you break above those, let's see, we'll go with 41. Then you're looking at 42. Momentum could be a little bit better. MACD's kind of slowing down just a little bit. Let's take a look at this weekly chart, though. Okay, look at this. All right, so let's clear these out, at least. Clear the drawing set. Ooh, cancel. Auto zoom. All right, so you have good support here, down here at 30.36. Sorry, let me move this up a little bit. There you go. You're right here at the weekly 200. That is a clear level of resistance with the confluence there. Nice little Darvis box that you're trading in on the weekly. There you go. You have this MACD buy on the weekly. Yeah, the momentum is a little wonky here. You just kind of been in and out of positive and negative territory. Would like it to shift a little bit better there. So maybe a little early, but not bad. You can try it. Entry here at this 41 or even, down here. As long as you don't have a close below this 37.50, seems like a good spot. Otherwise, you most likely come back down to retest the low. But and then, of course, if you're breaking up to the upside, I would look at a plus ATR2. probably looking at about 48. That seems pretty reasonable there. And of course, let's go over to the daily chart once more. Let's see, where is our symmetry going to place us? Do we want to do it? No. And you have the positive stack DMAs on the daily, so that's good. So you have the 8 over the 21, the 21 over the 34, 34 over 55, 55 over 89. So you got some bullish things here. Maybe just a little bit patience to get above this 41.25 mark. I would just have my price target set. We can just do it here. It'll be all right. It's still a good spot. 45.68 and 48. So you got some good targets there to the upside. Stops clearly below the daily 200 as well as the weekly 21. You got that nice confluence zone there as well. That would have to be on a daily close or an hourly close, depending on how you want to do that. All right. Let's see. That's any other ticker requests? Any questions, comments? Leaving it up to you guys. You're welcome, Snap. All right. I think that's pretty good there. We are right at that 1 hour mark. And like I said, I like to try to keep it right at an hour, under an hour. So I definitely appreciate y'all coming in tonight and, spending some time with me this evening. Let's see. I hope everyone had a good weekend. I'll get my watch list and my notes out to all of y'all just so y'all can have, my lists and my levels with everything. And we'll just kind of keep it going for sure. As far as the economic calendar goes, we have some data tomorrow. Tuesday, we don't have anything major. Wednesday, the Canadian interest rate statement for all of our friends up north. Thursday, we have the Eurozone Central Bank Lagarde speaking, and we have the unemployment claims. Friday, we have PPI and UOM sentiment. And then the next week, we have the FOMC rate decision and statement. As far as the earnings go, let's see if anything's on my radar. Maybe GameStop. GameStop has earnings on Wednesday after the bell. Let's see, Costco after the bell on Thursday. Lululemon. Speaking of Lululemon, I don't think I talked about that one, but I know Penny is mad because no one has had brown pants or whatever he was trying to say here. This is a good daily chart on Lululemon. Little extended, but that's okay. Nice breakout above the 50% retracement. Actually, that's kind of old, so that doesn't make sense anymore. Let's see. Yeah, weekly chart. Yeah, you're coming up on just some resistance here on Lulu, but this is pretty clean. You have a nice weekly squeeze, breakout, weekly MACD, weekly buy signal, good momentum. It looks good. They just have earnings on Thursday after the bell. Chewy earnings on Thursday. So we're kind of getting some interesting ones this week. So that'll be good. All right. That'll be it for me, guys. I will post my watch list in the chat and I will give you my notes as well. So you may have that. Looking forward to this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, Cub Scout. Bye, guys.